Step 9, leaving your legacy.
The history books and you. Now, right off the bat, I'm not even gonna beat around the bush with this, Paul. I'm gonna pull a quote. And it's from a book called Out of Control.
Actually, one of my favorite books.
Good, it should be. It's really good. It has a bunch of bees on the cover, and it's by the executive editor of Wired, and his name is Kevin Kelly. And if you're following me in the book here, it's on page 1, chapter 1. The chapter is entitled The Made and the Born. Of course, this ties into what we were talking about previous step. Now, here is the beginning of the quote, and this is really, really interesting. Okay, quote, I am sealed in a cottage of glass that is completely airtight. Inside I breathe my exhalations, yet the air is fresh, blown by fans. My urine and excrement are recycled by a system of ducts, pipes, wires, plants, and marsh microbes, and redeemed into water and food which I can eat. Tasty food, good water. End quote.
I love me some water.
I do, and I love me some Kevin Kelly, and it so ties in to everything that we've been talking about. Leaving a legacy, building the strength upon the previous life, the previous other people, that kind of thing, your experiences, and that quote right there gets to the sum total of everything you want to be, is that you are in a closed system of energy. And the energy you give off is essentially reflected back at you. So you excrement, you urinate, you poop, and it comes back to you as tasty food and water. And that your own strength, once you get all the strength, as I said before, the documentary with featuring Jet Li being the one of the universe, once you get all that strength and everything, once you go to other multiverses and you claim yourself king of all of them, all of that good energy reflects back at you, and essentially it's a perpetual motion machine. And I know that there are some physicists out there going, Tristan, this violates every single law I'm aware of. Thermodynamics, energy conservation, all of that, because you can't, when you have a closed system, you lose energy, even if it's a closed system. It's going to die at some point. But here's my point. Hear me out, physicists, people who love thermodynamics. You are wrong. Because green represents life. Now, when you think of green, the color, how it even smells, it's so, exactly, take it in, it's so robust, and it just energizes you. And think of green coming from green, and green leading to more green, and then that leading to the best green, and then the best green all of a sudden being encapsulated in its own system, and it can just be the best green forever. And that is leaving a legacy, is passing it down, passing the green to other little greens, and it just kind of swells into this unstoppable tidal wave of legacy. And when people walk in front of this tidal wave, they'll go, stop, legacy, I've had enough of you. But no, it's just going to roll right over them, and they're going to be swept up, and you're going to gain the energy. You know?
I believe everything you say.
Good. Good.
So this tidal wave that you mentioned.
Yeah, unstoppable.
Yes, it's unstoppable. Does this tidal wave grow and grow and grow to an immense size? I think when we start off, maybe it's a very small wave. It's the waves that are just lightly kissing the shore, so to speak. But as we build ourselves, we change ourselves, we reincarnate ourselves, we start over, we find the things that work, we cut off our limbs, we manipulate others, we become a puppet master, and then at a certain point, the crest of our wave is so high that it's impossible for not just, one person or a group of people or a city or a country or the world to notice the immensity of this tidal wave.
I'm going to pull a quote. And
this is a very special occasion because this is two quotes in one step.
One step. And it's by Shakespeare. And this is off the top of my head. And this is one of his lost quotes. Actually, I found this when I was doing an archaeological dig in Stratford-upon-Avon. I had broken in overnight. The Royal Shakespeare Company, of course, who guards Stratford-upon-Avon, had fallen asleep. And that's the thing about me, is that I have so much strength now that I don't need to sleep. And I had walked right past them. They were, of course, scanning Shakespeare in their sleep, as I've been told that they are wont to do. And I dug down, and it was under the fireplace of the cottage of Stratford-upon-Avon. It was so dusty I could hardly read it, but I could because I have night vision. And it said, "Verily, surely you think the crest will break, but surely it goes on and on and on." And this document was literally 3,000 novels prefaced with that quote. And all the rest of it said on and on and on. It was in Shakespeare's hand, and he wrote it until the second he died. And in fact, the last quote of the entire book is on and on and up. Just got the O in there, and then he kicked it.
People always talk about what makes Shakespeare so great. And I think now we truly know is that he must have been very old at the time where he was actually popular. I think he might have been living beyond his age. This is just a theory that's coming to me now.
Yeah.
But he, being present through a majority of time, found the significant playwrights of each period and consumed them in a sense.
Exactly.
He made them part of his one, to serve the Jet Li metaphor from the documentary.
Yes.
So, and that is why we find that Shakespeare models his work is modeled after the greats, the great stories. We go, we've heard that story before. Where have we heard that?
Spear. Billy Spear. Billy Shakes.
Billy Shakes.
And the funny thing is, I get to the end of this 3,000 plus novel, 3,000 plus volume novel, whatever it was. I was pretty tired, but though I don't sleep. I get to on and on and up. And then being me, because I don't know this yet, I assumed that he had died when he wrote the O, and then it was just kind of a messy scribble, and then it ended. You know who walked in? It wasn't...
I know you're going to tell me it was Billy Shakes.
It was William Shakespeare.
What a guy.
You know what he was wearing? A tracksuit. You know what he was wearing on his head? A sweatband. And the first thing he said is, "What the fuck are you doing in my house?" And I tried to explain to him. I said, Mr. Shakespeare, I am a great admirer, and I want to know the secret. I couldn't even finish what I wanted to say because he was so mad I was on his property that he thoroughly booted me out, and then Ian McKellen and other members of the Royal Shakespeare Company had quite a field day with me in the middle of a football field. They took some blows, but again, I don't bruise. And I learned something that day. I learned that by reading Shakespeare, I have, in essence, invited him into my head, and he has invited me into his head. And it's a symbiotic relationship that we have, like the documentary Jet Li, the one, that we have decided to coexist together. We're not going to kill one or the other, even though he threw me to the dogs, in essence, by letting the Shakespeare Company have their way with me in a football field. Of course, an English football field. That's soccer to you Yanks. But there's a mutual respect, and sometimes I pass him on the street. Of course, other people don't know what he looks like. Only I know what he looks like, and he only knows what I look like. And we nod at each other. There's no words. There's just nodding. And we go on. We go to Starbucks. We get our lattes. We read each other's work. I just finished Macbeth. Good job, William, wherever you are. I hope you're wearing an Alfani suit and not a tracksuit, you know?
Yeah.
And it's taught me so much. So much. And that's leaving your legacy. That's all about leaving legacy.
I couldn't agree more.